Welcome to our daily intro to Kabbalah. Today I want to talk about, with your permission, about the connection between the Chomer and the Tzura, between the physical and the spiritual. And before we start, of course, I would like to dedicate the shiur to the success of Fegel Sarah bat Ruben Lev, and to the success of Rachel Chaya bat Sarah, and to everybody else that needs any kind of help in all fields, and especially the refuah shlema to all those who are sick. So everybody knows, every student that attended, I don't know, high school, something like this, know about the structure of material, about molecules and atoms and the parts of the atom and so on and so forth. And everybody knows that even something that is completely solid, let's say like a rock, right, also constitute from atoms and the particles of the atoms, right? And those particles of the atoms, move around the core of the atom all the time. There's also movement, even though the rock seems like nothing is happening, but it's actually moving. If you look on the further down inside, you will see the particles. You could see the particles moving, the electrons and the protons and the neutrons and all the other Chevraya. It's a whole party over there. So to us, it seems like it's not moving. To us, it seems like it's a solid thing. I mean, if you ever try to break a stone with your hand, you know that it's pretty solid, but yet, it's not. We already know so. And the only reason that those things stay together is because of gravitational force and other forces that exist, in the inside of them, that hold the atoms and the molecules together. And something that looks to us like one solid piece is basically billions, if not trillions, or whatever number that you're going to get of particles that are basically put together that spin around one core, spin around together in the same movement, in a different speed or the other. And we do know that most of this is basically empty, right? The real essence of the chomer, of that material, is basically empty, because there is the space between the atoms. And it was fascinating to me to hear. One time I heard on the radio, what's his name? This guy, I like him a lot, John Batchelor. So he had a guy that gave a whole lecture, a whole interview, whatever, about the small particles they're called neutrinos. Neutrinos are such small particles that basically trillions of them pass through our body all the time. In other words, they go through our body, we don't even feel it. To them, we are space. So all this apparatus, all this law and order of that we have over there is what we call together, that puts all those pieces together. We call it koach hamechaber, the unifying force. That unifying force is basically the tzura, the spiritual force of something that is solid. Even a rock has a spiritual element to it. And it's very interesting that to the Western Wall, there was a song in Israel years ago that they were talking about right after the 67 war, when Jerusalem was reunited, and soon is Yom Yerushalayim. And I think we should really put it into our heads that the day that Yerushalayim was unified should be a marker in history that should never be divided ever again. And not for this peace process or the other peace process. It is purely Jewish, should be. Now, the song was talking about, and was saying like this: Yesh avanim, yesh anashim im lev shel even, veyesh avanim im lev adam. There are people with a stone heart, and there are stones with a human heart. And it refers to the walls of the Kotel, the Kotel Ma'aravi, the Western Wall. There is a human heart inside of it. So, but even rocks have a spiritual entity in them, spiritual force in them. And the same thing applies to plants and trees, the things that grow. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu, God wanted that the qualities of the some of plants, for example, are going to be superior to solids, to rock, to earth, and so on and so forth. That's why he gave in the trees and the plants more refined receptacles in them. And the same thing goes to the living organism. And the higher the organism, the more sophisticated the receptacles, the more sophisticated the systems in it. And then God wanted to create humans that really going to be able to them, and humans will be the ones who are going to have the job to fix this world in the kingdom of Hashem. That's why the receptacle of a human is superior to all creations. That's why, again, it is impossible that there was an evolution, because it was predetermined already that humans will do that. It is impossible to create on your own. For example, I cannot create in myself a spiritual force of, let's say, I don't know, an angel or a tree to become a dog. It's impossible. We're talking about different aspects altogether. It really contradicts the whole point of view of science and evolution and so on and so forth. And we need to understand that. That's a job for us to understand. So one thing that we would like to do, I would like you to do, is to simply, it's a small homework. It's a very small lecture today, a very short lecture. However, it is tremendous as far as I'm concerned, it's my humble opinion, is I would like you to contemplate and go out today, of course, following the restrictions of closures and social gathering and so on and so forth. Try to sit down yourself and look at that. If, for example, you would take a picture of a close-up of a flower or a leaf, believe it or not, it would look to you like a skin of a human. However, there's a big difference. There are veins and there are, arteries and so on. It's really amazing how it is. I could see how people could get mistaken and say that we all came from plants. I mean, why not? However, according to Kabbalah and Judaism, the way we understand is different. So what I would like you to do today, if you can, if you may, is really go outside and try to examine your surrounding in different light, with different eyes, with a Kabbalistic Jewish light, not from a scientific thing. Everybody wants to be a scientist. But today, for a change, you'll be a Kabbalist. So go and examine those qualities. Think about that even a stone has a certain life form to it. However, it's a different type of a life form, and life form in terms of what Kabbalah refers to it. In other words, it has a spiritual entity as well, and a spiritual quality as well, with its own qualities. And what can you learn from that? For example, if you look at a rock or you look at a stone, is there anything that you could learn for yourself, analyzing the stone, right? It's something that you could learn about yourself, good or bad. What lesson can the stone teach you? And that is very important. Or you look at a tree, and we do know that the Torah tells us, Ki ha'adam etz hasadeh. Is there resemblance that you could learn? Not what I would tell you or this rabbi will tell you, but what could you learn from a tree to apply it to your life? What can you learn from an animal to apply it to your life? From different types of animals. Let's say we do know the Torah tells us, Lech el hanemala atzel. Go to the ant. You want to learn how to do things right, how to work. Go and learn from an ant how to work. So all those verses are all there all the time. We just dismiss them or we try to analyze them differently. And I'm saying contemplate on that. When Chachamim were doing things, they were not just sitting down in Bet Medrash and learning. They were actually sitting down and learning. And we know the story of Rabbi Akiva. When Rabbi Akiva understood, he was sitting down and contemplating on a rock. And then he saw how a drop of water, slowly, drop at a time, changes a rock. Well, that could only come when you are contemplating, when you're sitting down and looking at things without the intent, without the kavanah, nothing will happen. You're just looking at things. You say, oh man, it looks nice. But when you're contemplating on things, then all of a sudden you have the gates of wisdom. You have the different level of understanding. Lehavdil, maybe you can get the same idea of when you look at I don't know, at the Japanese garden. They use nature, and it was an ancient practice among the older cultures to use nature as a contemplation point. Unfortunately, we lost a lot of that, those practices of contemplation, of directed and guided self-meditation, not to calm yourself and so on, to get a different understanding. We lost a lot of that. But I think that using those concepts that we are talking about and putting them to work, I think we can get much more in tune with what the ancient sages were using, what the masters of Kabbalah, the masters of Judaism were using. And when we use qualities, we use terms of qualities, Askanamer, Gibor Kari, mighty as a lion, hero, and so on and so forth. It's not just words, it's something for us to learn. So if you want to know how to be mighty as a tiger, go observe tigers. Okay, you don't have to go to Bengal to watch them. You watch Smithsonian or I don't know, whatever they have there, something about I don't know, that's gonna be, I don't know, whatever channel they have there, watch some things about tigers and learn the qualities that you would need to do to be fierce like a tiger. What does that mean? Or to be mighty as a lion. What does that mean? Or try to watch some documentary about flying eagles, and maybe you'll get something about what Rabbi Yehuda Rabbi Yehuda, when he said that, right? What did it mean to be ratz katzvi, to run like a deer? Learn something and apply it to you. And so therefore you can go outside and sit in front of a rock and try to analyze it, to contemplate on that and see what you can learn about this, right? Because after all, we do call Hashem Hatzur, Hasela, the rock. What does it mean? One thing that it means that as much as a stone, as a rock doesn't move from its place, so is HaKadosh Baruch Hu does not mean move from his word. Means that he's solid, you can't break him, and so on and so forth. Where are you in that? Bring that power in you, learn from it, and then apply it to your life. That's called, as far as I'm concerned, that's called practical Kabbalah. Taking those concepts and applying it to your life. So Rabotai, go outdoors, go contemplate, get some vitamin D, and we'll see you Be'ezrat Hashem tomorrow.